But at this moment, the king of the exhibition is being held by the king of the blind. How can there be time to save his sister? Besides, if the sister is dead, she will fight for the position of the sky-breaking list in the future. His exhibition will be less competitive, which is not better. Thinking of the exhibition did not take the opportunity to continue to fight with the blind king. Yi Kangchuan's power hit heavily towards the sister. A terrible sound of fishing nets spread around, but the picture of the sister's skin is not shown in the imagination. At a critical moment, a figure appears to block Yi Kangchuan's attack. The next person is the master of the Thunder Jade in the upper world, the second strongest in the sky-breaking list. It seems that Yi Kangchuan did not feel surprised when he came. It was only half a move away from the Thunder Demon. The position of the sky-breaking list was only on Yi Kangchuan. Knowing that Yi Kangchuan did not die in the Long Life Festival, why would the Thunder Demon Lord not come in person? But now Yi Kangchuan only wants to kill Xiaoji. Thunder Demon Lord wants to get back the position of the sky-breaking list, but he has to wait until he kills Xiaoji first. Knowing that Yi Kangchuan has a heart to kill Xiaoji, Thunder Demon Lord does not agree with this matter. Xiaoji is also the master of the fairy demon Jade. It will be a big trouble if no one controls the Jade. Yi Kangchuan was late in the upper world and did not become the master of the Jade, so he has little or no idea about these Jade masters. In his eyes, as long as he is strong enough to become the master of the Jade, he will not do it. And as the master of the Thunder Jade, Thunder Demon Lord, even if the fairy demon Jade loses the control of Xiaoji, the fairy demon Jade will become extremely chaotic, and the life of the cultivators and residents will become very hot. So he can't just watch Xiaoji die here. Seeing Thunder Demon Lord shelter, Yi Kangchuan is also confused. To warm up the fist to the Thunder Demon Lord palace as to whether the fairy demon Jade will mess with his bird world. The chaos will come out sooner or later. Or unify, no one can stop his determination to kill Xiaoji. For Yi Kangchuan's attack, Thunder Demon Lord just kept dodging and did not fight back. He did not thank a heavily injured Yi Kangchuan for his action. At this time, a feather fell from the sky and separated the two fighting. A wonderful figure appeared in the air. The one who came was the master of the Jade, Princess Yi Kinghan of the Jade Sea Palace. Two powerful earth and strong are fighting fiercely. A feather suddenly fell from the sky directly to separate the two people. The coming man is the strongest woman in the upper world. The master of the Jade and the feather of the foot of the green and cold is as light as a swallow. Quickly to the embrace of Yi Kangchuan to see the coming man. Yi Kangchuan has not had time to speak far away to watch the heavy woman, but immediately angry. They don't know who the woman who suddenly appeared is, but they can be sure that the relationship between the girl and Yi Kangchuan is definitely not ordinary. Tang Yuayu's fire kept 3 stabbings by teeth. And saying to the self-hearing of the dead star cat, this woman must be taking advantage of me. Not in the upper world is the seducer husband. I ran quickly to Yi Kangchuan and asked Yi Kangchuan who the hell was, which Yi Kangchuan directly ignored her and asked Yi Kinghan in front of him why you came too. The Jade does not have your witness. Once the evil demon breaks through the seal, it is troublesome to hear this word. Yi Kinghan does not care, he cannot care so much. If you can't even protect your own man, what about protecting the world? Then he looked at the side of the Thunder Demon and said, Lei, if you want to fight, I'll fight with you. Wenyan, the Thunder Demon, responded with anger that you are a woman and you do not deserve to fight with me. When he heard the words of the Thunder Demon, Yi Kinghan did not have time to get angry, but Tang Yuayu jumped up from afar. Yi Kangchuan did not care about him. Tang Yuayu had to look at Yi Kinghan and warn him that Kangchuan was my husband. After you stole the heart, stay away from him. Wenyan Yi Kinghan's anger and his heart turned over Yi Kangchuan. Is the man he longed for, he could not bear to beat this woman with Yi Kangchuan relationship. Is not money cannot do, but the Thunder Demon is still possible. Thinking of this, Yi Kinghan hurried to the Thunder Demon Palace. In front of Yi Kinghan, the Thunder Demon did not care about the flying corner. He just reached out with a hand to block it. The horse was dumbfounded. Yi Kinghan's strength was so terrible that he did not wait for him to react. A slap directly hit his face. The Thunder Demon had no room to react. The ground was struck by a lag bag. After these, Yi Kinghan, he took a handshake. What happened to the woman? I can't fight you yet. Don't you know that I'm the only one who has lost in the last millennium? The Thunder Demon, who had just climbed up from the pit, was shocked to hear this. How could Yi Kangchuan lose to a woman? I saw Yi Kangchuan's eyes of questioning. I saw Yi Kangchuan's awkward explanation that I did lose to him and I won you. I was a little dumbfounded to hear that. That is to say, before that, the strength of this woman was already above her. But she had never heard of the name of this woman. Speaking of Yi Kangchuan and Yi Kinghan, there was also a wonderful relationship. At that time, Yi Kangchuan was already looking for an opponent in the upper world. Occasionally, when he was traveling, he met Yi Kinghan. At that time, the two were just in a good mood. After the meeting, no one was convinced that he would fight directly on the spot, but Yi Kangchuan lost to Yi Kinghan. Yi Kinghan also had a crush on Yi Kangchuan because of this. When he was very young, his father told him that only men who had defeated him were qualified to marry him. Since childhood, only Yi Kangchuan has won him. So the marriage between the two of them came like this. It's just that the Thunder Demon is shocked that he has been ignored by the reputation that he has been ignored. It can be seen that there are still many hidden tigers in the upper world, with Yi Kinghan joining the Thunder Demon Lord himself today. This fight is not going to start. He just wanted Yi Kangchuan to let go of Xiaoji once. If he died, the fairy demon Jade would be in a mess. But before he finished talking, there was an explosion. It was Zhan Huang, who was fighting with the Manchurian Emperor in the distance. Zhan Huang also sent the Manchurian Emperor out of town, so he had time to look at Yi Kangchuan. His plan to kill Yi Kangchuan with Xiaoji this summer was a complete failure, but he did not think that Yi Kangchuan had the ability to leave them alone. It is not that they cannot force the break through the suppression, but that the price of doing so is to experience the fall again. So he hopes that Yi Kangchuan will take the initiative to let go of Xiaoji and not to die. It is better to take a step back when he hears this. He does not understand the words of Yi Kangchuan. In his eyes, Zhan Huang is simply a fool who does not even understand the situation and dares to threaten him. This is Yi Kengshuan's sudden laughter. For thousands of years, I have been trained in my body. Everyone knows that I am the first in Yi Kengshuan's body training, but they do not know that I am also a good sword user. Now that my body has not yet recovered, my advice has not been damaged at all. After saying that, I reach out my right hand and grab the sky. The sword came to the Qingchuan sect's main hall, which was not far from the room, and was suddenly charged through the roof of the Zhuchuan sword above, and quickly shot away in the distance. In a blink of an eye, it fell into the hands of Yi Kengshuan. Lei Mozen looked at Zhan Huang and scolded a stupid thing and directly crushed his face. He knows that Xiaoji will die today. In order not to be with Zhan Huang, he can only do this. After leaving a sentence to Yi Kengshuan, Lei Mozen also left here. This is the time when Yi Kengshuan turned to look far away. It is also time for Xiaoji to know that the dragon has the reason to die. It is a capital crime to dare to do something to the woman around you. Looking at the murderous look on Yi Kengshuan's face, Xiaoji was not afraid and released all the spiritual power in his body. He can only stay in the lower realm for 17 hours to restore his strength, but it is enough for him to deal with Yi Kengshuan. But he does not know how terrible it is to hold the Zhuchuan sword. Only see Yi Kengshuan rise in the hand of the Zhuchuan sword, with the spiritual power of the crown, to spread out the Taotian of the microsigns against Xiaoji this kind of bad color. With Yi Kengshuan words, just one move is enough to kill the sword quickly. And feel the terrible sword like this. Xiaoji only had time to show off the amazing god color, and the whole person was instantly wiped out by his suggestion and only left a ditch on the ground. To prove that there had been a battle here just now, at this time, the man who was flung by Zhan Huang Zhenfei came back and did not expect that the battle was over. Yi Kengshuan was indeed a senior of his man clan. His strength was really powerful. Now it's his turn to fight. Yi Kengshuan is also willing to accept it. Both of them are people who have trained their bodies to the extreme and want to break through only pure body collision. Only then can you feel the limit of breaking through the last one. After the sword spirit of Zhuchuanjian returned to the Qingchuan sect, Yi Kengshuan planned to fight with the Man Emperor. This is a sudden transmission of the Holy Jade from Yi Kinghan on the side. The seal of the Holy Jade has a problem and he has to return immediately. Before he left, he treated the wounds left by the Duji stone for Yi Kengshuan, and then returned to the upper world quickly. Next, there was no disturbance from outsiders. Yi Kengshuan and the Man Emperor began the purest body collision. This is the most primitive way of fighting, just using the power of the body. There is no skill and no time to dodge. The two of you come to me and I will pour the whole fist into the meat and beat it very fast. The roar of the collision is constantly heard in this desert until the two of them finally stop. But even so, they still haven't found a way to break through the limit of the body. It was at this moment that the roar of the ground began to collapse. A deep pit appeared in front of everyone. When he saw this, the Man Emperor suddenly showed his excited look. He felt something down there calling him. As long as he went down, he could find a way to break through. But Yi Kengshuan felt something was wrong, because he felt a smell of evil. The strong are called the Manzhou of the Manyi land, where tens of thousands of man people live. They do not cultivate spiritual power, but only the purest body, which has been despised by the cultivators of the upper world. The reason for this is not that the man people do not want to cultivate spiritual power, but that the Manzhou where they live is extremely special. In all the realms of the 9 realms, only Manzhou has been unable to produce spiritual energy since the beginning, and the body of the man people is unknown. When the old master Yi Kengshuan and the Man Emperor accidentally discovered the underground cave of Manzhou, there was a group of strange creatures living here. They obviously have no breath, but they can move, and they are very aggressive, and then they are killed. And people discovered that these creatures do not belong to the beast. On the contrary, it is much harder than a metal body with 1,000 hammers and 100 chains. And these creatures will float out of a breath after death. Tang Yuayu felt that these breaths were a little familiar, and subconsciously reached out to touch them. But the unexpected breath of floating breath entered his body. It was only a moment that Tang Yuayu found that his strength had increased a lot, even after the body has reached the limit of the Man Emperor, and has touched these breaths. The strength of the body has also been slightly tightened. Seeing this situation, Yi Kengshuan decisively took action and directly crushed the body of a creature. After a trial, it was concluded that the breath of these creatures that spread after their death could indeed increase their satisfying body strength, and their bodies are of the same origin, and can be absorbed by them without any rejection. This kind of strange creature makes people a little confused. I don't know what's hidden in the underground of Manzhou. The Man Emperor, who couldn't figure it out, didn't care as long as these creatures could help him break through the limits of his body. The Man Emperor took the initiative to scout ahead and kill all the creatures he encountered on the way. The breath that spreads after the death of these creatures is used to improve their strength after a while. People walked in the underground world for a long time. In addition to the deeper the moon goes, the creatures encountered on the way become stronger. The first group of people did not find anything special until they encountered stronger underground creatures. The Man Emperor was unable to cope with Yi Kengshuan and had to join the battle. It's just that the creature didn't have a special breath after his death, but dropped a strange crystal which made Yi Kengshuan a little bit strange. He had seen the monster killing monster releasing and the root of the monster, but it was the first time he had seen such a crystal, and he could still feel the crystal containing a lot of energy. Tang Yuayu and Yi Shi are curiously measuring the crystal in Yi Kengshuan's hand, and they suddenly break the crystal and the energy enters Tang Yuayu and Yi Shi's body. The sword, like Yi Kengshuan, was in a hurry to check on the two of them and found that after the two of them absorbed this energy, there was no harm to their bodies. It's just that he's a little confused. Tang Yuayu is a man of the Man tribe. He can understand that he can absorb this energy, but Yi Shi is obviously from Kangzhou, and he can absorb this energy, and the Man Emperor's sword-like body is crushed. by the crystal in his hand. The energy of Tang Bo is integrated into his body, and in an instant the man emperor only feels that his body is about to be destroyed. And as long as he absorbs more blood, maybe he can break through the limit of his body. And Tang Yuaya will find that his body has risen surprisingly after absorbing this energy. The excited whole person jumped up and shouted to Yi Kengshuan to help him hunt down some creatures. Yi Kengshuan did not refuse to Tang Yuaya's request, and made a huge contribution to Tang Yuaya's plan to grow taller. After a series of unknown hunting of how many powerful creatures, Tang Yuaya covered her stomach and collapsed on the ground. He absorbed too much energy to feel like he was going to burst. The good thing is that his height has exceeded Yi Shire. Tang Yuaya gave the excess crystal to Qin Mina, and Yi Lingyan to make the two girls take the opportunity to improve their physical strength. However, the result was disappointing to the two girls. They had nothing to do with the crystal and could not absorb it at all. Only Yi Shire could not be afraid to fight all the men emperor. After absorbing a few pieces of crystal, the strength of the body has been achieved. But there is always a limit that he cannot break through. The limit and the energy of these crystals has lost its effect. Only Yi Kengshuan did not absorb these energies. He always felt that there must be some secrets he did not know before he figured it out. He still had to stay rational. After a while, everyone continued to move forward to a stone mountain. According to Yi Kengshuan's years of travel experience, there was originally a path that could be walked, but it was blocked by the stone mountain in front of him. And this stone mountain is a little weird. There seems to be something in it. At this moment, the stone mountain suddenly cracked and two huge statues walked out of the stone mountain. When they saw this, Yi Kengshuan and the man emperor entered a state of battle at the same time, in preparation for the next two statues to attack. Which did not happen. The two statues turned around and pushed the stone door behind them. Under the attention of the crowd, a passage appeared in front of the crowd. The idea of the top city to come to, which cannot go in to see the men emperor led the first to enter the passage. Of the rest of the people followed him also followed in. It's just that they didn't know that. After everyone entered the passage, two huge statues suddenly spoke in a low voice and hoped that this time they could completely solve those existences. The words reveal a certain unknown meaning. The male protagonist, a group of people, passed through the dark tunnel and came to a world hidden underground. What caught the eye was the dry bones of the earth. There was no sign of life around the desolate area. It is not common for ordinary people to be able to open up such a large space at the bottom of the ground, whether it is a set-up barrier or a direct movement of the sky. Just when the epidemic people were carefully measuring the surrounding area, a loud noise suddenly came from the remote space. I can only see the human-shaped creatures fighting. When they found that outsiders had broken into the place, the human-shaped creatures suddenly stopped attacking and then quickly rushed toward Yi Kengshuan and others. The sword like Yi Kengshuan decisively protected Tang Yuaya and others behind him. A punch went straight up and banged a sound. At the same time, the two were both shaken off. The human body of the human body was also extremely strong. The man emperor before the competition was also not easy to give up. Yi Kengshuan ordered the heavy girl to hide behind the other human-shaped creature to the man emperor to solve the initiative. To shoot at the human-shaped creature, he wanted to see what these strange creatures were. After a fight, Yi Kengshuan took the lead and the man emperor chased the human-shaped creature into the ground. The ground was instantly bombarded with smoke, and the human-shaped creature was completely silent under the full force of Yi Kengshuan. This is when the human body of the human body begins to crack, and a black smoke floats from the body and a corpse is exposed inside. Yi Kengshuan, with years of experience, has analyzed that such a strong body can corrode to such a level that it has at least died for 10,000 years. Thinking of the shock in Yi Kengshuan's heart, the space at the bottom of the ground had already existed 10,000 years ago, and the man emperor on the other side was still fighting with a human-shaped creature. I didn't expect this human-shaped creature to suddenly say something to make everyone leave quickly. I haven't waited for everyone to react yet. The two bodies are as fast as lightning, and they are thrown towards the far-off Tang Yuaya and Yi Shire at a critical moment. Yi Kengshuan yelled out in anger that he wanted to stop, but it was too late. Tang Yuaya and Yi Shire have fallen into the other party's hands, and Yi Kengshuan is in a hurry to catch up. However, when he came to the front, he found that the two human-shaped creatures had disappeared without a trace. The two were caught, and Yi Kengshuan looked at the human-shaped creature just now. A flash directly grabbed the other person's neck. Launched towards the question of the whereabouts of the second daughter. This is a voice that suddenly comes from behind him, and an old human-shaped creature walks out of the ground. The old man says, "Don't worry, Yi Kengshuan, the two people who were just taken away are not in danger for the time being." The crutch in the hands of the talker presses against Yi Kengshuan's shoulder. Yi Kengshuan only feels like there's a mountain on his shoulder. This distance is comparable to his power of 17%. Seeing that the old man did not mean to let go of the human-shaped creature in his hand, Yi Kengshuan learned from the old man that they were not on the same side as the two people just now, and the second daughter will not be in danger for 3 days. The specific reason is that as long as you go to a place with him, all the doubts there will be solved one by one for the safety of Tang Yuaya and Yi Shire. Yi Kengshuan and others have no choice but to follow the old man to a cave. The end of this place is where the old man said there was everything people wanted. 4 people did not hesitate to walk into the cave, but as soon as they entered it, the scene shocked everyone. They saw a lot of crying on the walls on both sides. Yi Kengshuan saw that these dead people were not the same. Before they died, there were those who cultivated the Buddhist door and those who were not. It is difficult for these people to evolve their bodies to such an extent, even for those powerful people in the upper world. And as far as he knows, the inheritance of the Buddha and the Taoism was broken 100,000 years ago. Now the world has long lost the two Taoists. The more people walk in the moon, the more painful it is to feel the bones of the stone in it, even if it is just a little closer. With the current body of the man emperor, it will feel like it will be torn at any time. These are all the legendary Xuanmen Blaze body. It was a faint sound from the depths of the cave that finally made me wait. Come in, guys. I felt the terrible atmosphere of the other party. Yi Kangshuan and the Man Emperor all showed their solemn colors. But there was no choice for the people who had come to the end of the tunnel, looking at the full of life and death in front of the big town. Yi Kangshuan did not hesitate to go in first and came to an independent cave. What caught his eye was a huge stone pillar. An old man sat under the stone pillar, and there were a lot of stone sculptures behind him. Looking at the arrival of Yi Kangshuan and others, the old man showed a kind smile. He greeted everyone and walked up to the Man Emperor. He was in a hurry to ask the old man where he was, and how can he break the limit of his body. Hearing this, the old man was in a hurry to wave his hand, for stone stools came out of the ground when everyone sat down. The old man slowly opened his mouth and told everyone a story that had been told for millions of years. A top strong man who has lived for more than 1,000,000 years can now only live in the dark world of the underground world. All he did was to suppress the outside demon. From the mouth of this old man, everyone learned that millions of years ago, the upper world was divided into one state and one palace, and the 2 gates and 4 jades were the most prosperous in the central state. There is a place of struggle in the 9 realms, where hundreds of strong people from the mainland gather to break through the 9 layers of the ground to break free from the limits of the 9 realms. The legendary escapees are immortal, and at that time, there is a group of people in the Jade who have a crooked mind, trying to break through time and space, and escape directly to another world, unexpectedly. A terrible nightmare began with countless groups of people suddenly emerging from the ground. They were not only strong enough to invade the earth, but also to invade people's thoughts. It took only a few days for people to come up with the idea of killing each other, and the Jade was completely dominated by the Wing Clan. At that time, the strong people of the Central State were still fighting and did not realize that. When they realized that the Wing Clan had become the climate and had come to invade the Central State in a large scale, a war with the Wing Clan broke out like this. After years of war, many strong people in the Central State took the lead. But even if the Wing Clan was buried alive, it would still emit a strange aura and invade the earth, so that the earth here can no longer be born out of the spirit. And so these Wing Clan were called evil demons by them. Baiyu decided to take the king of the Wing Clan first, after discussing with the strong people of the earth, and let the group of Wing Clan's unarmed men slowly destroy which Wing Clan king was a powerful outlaw. Baiyu participated in the war for the strong people of the earth, and only survived less than 30%. Fortunately, they succeeded in killing the king of the Wing Clan. But what they didn't expect was the terrible aura that was born when the king of the Wing Clan died. In a flash, the whole of Zhangzhou was eaten up, making Zhangzhou a paradise for the Wing Clan. Inevitably, the remaining strong people of the group joined forces to set up a sky-framing array that encircled the entire Zhangzhou. In order to prevent the impact of other interests, they joined forces to sink Zhangzhou and Guiyu completely. They fell into the wilderness of the lower realm, and then joined forces to seal the passage of the Wing Clan and suppress it in the endless sea of the upper realm, establishing a force called the Holy Jade to guard it. Almost all of these strong people of the earth died here because of the extreme blood consumption. Only the old man in front of him was strong and used secret methods to survive here for thousands of years. However, what surprised him was that the land of the Wing Clan was eaten up, and the Wing Clan was bred again after thousands of years. In order not to let these Wing Clan harm the world, Lao Tzu used his own crisis to exert the worry and buried everything in the ground. But it still affected the whole continent. The people who were born here will be more killed than anywhere else. The only thing that makes Lao Tzu feel fortunate is that he is waiting for the arrival of Yi Kangshuan. According to Lao Tzu, Yi Kangshuan is a special existence. His body is right next to the body. It can be called the most perfect body of meat. Hearing this, everyone understood the origin of Manchuria and knew why the people of Manchuria like to kill. And everyone also learned from Lao Tzu that the whole of Manchuria's grassland was actually created by the blood of millions of years ago, by hundreds of strong people in the Middle Zhou. In other words, all the meat and plants that the Manchu people have eaten since they were young are equivalent to swallowing the flesh of the strong people in the lower realm. This is also why the flesh of the Manchu people is much stronger than that of other human races. And the downside to that is that the natural body is too strong to absorb the spiritual power between heaven and earth. The advantage is that their flesh is almost limitless. The reason why the Manchurian and Yi Kangshuan can't break through is that they also absorb the energy of the Wing Clan. There's a conflict between the two. If you want to break through this conflict, there are 2 ways to do it. One is to kill a Wing Clan with similar strength and absorb all of their Wing Clan energy and use it to force a violent breakthrough, or by means of the power of the heavens. The power of the heavens is incorporated into the body as a coordination, so that the 3 kinds of energy in the body can be combined and break through. The second is the method that I suddenly thought of after I met Yi Kangshuan. Yi Kangshuan has a strong residual in his body, and the reason he couldn't break through is because he has too little power in his body to be able to blend in. Hearing Lao Tzu's explanation, Yi Kangshuan was very clear that the 2 human beings that captured Tang Yoayu and Yi Shire should be the Wing Clan that Lao Tzu was talking about. And Yi Kangshuan also learned from Lao Tzu that the Manchu people have absorbed the flesh of the earth since they were young, at the same time as having the blood of the strong in the ground. They also absorbed the energy of the Wing Clan and had the blood of the Wing Clan. The reason why the Wing Clan captured Tang Yoayu and Yi Shire was to open up the blood of the Wing Clan in their bodies. Lao Tzu's suppression of the Wing Clan and the obsession left by many strong people in the ground. They have always been in a state of war with the Wing Clan. But as long as one side has more power, they can break through this situation. The Wing Clan is trying to open up the blood of the Wing Clan in the bodies of the 2 women to get rid of the current dilemma. If they succeed, the 9 realms will be completely defeated because the current 9 realms is not as good as it was millions of years ago. I can't get hundreds of strong people out of the ground. I drew a map of the 2 women on the ground and told them where they were. Yi Kangshuan was very grateful to Lao Tzu for his answer. And when he was about to leave to save the 2 women, Lao Tzu suddenly asked to talk to him alone. Yi Kangshuan did not refuse to let the people go out. and wait for him outside. After the people left, Lao's arrived. The secret of Yi Kengshuan's body is that Lao said, Yi Kengshuan's body is very strong and almost contains an essence of the blood of hundreds of strong people in the ground. Even if he hasn't broken through the ground, he already has the strength of the end if he can break through. Then his body contains the power of the heavens. It can be said that it is completely the guest star of the Wing Clan, so the task of closing the channel of the Wing Clan can only be done by Yi Kengshuan. For this, Yi Kengshuan did not refuse, but let him have some indecisiveness. He won the whole game, even in the upper world. He could not find a few opponents who could fight with him. Could this strength be called the end? The once invincible man in the world is in the eyes of the old man in front of him, but he is just a strong man with the strength of the end. Yi Kengshuan's words hurt. If he can only be called the end of the world in his whole life, how strong should the real strong man of the ground be? Yi Kengshuan had no idea of the ground at all. Laos continued to explain to him that there had only been one time in millions of years. It was the Long Life Festival that Yi Kengshuan had just passed. If you want to be the emperor, you have to pass this festival successfully. When he heard this, Yi Kengshuan was shocked. He now knows how ridiculous he is. That he can't even pass the festival and he still wants to challenge the heaven. That is to say, the so-called big land in the upper world is not even the end of the world, but some stronger buildings. And according to Laos, the land is divided into 9 levels and each time the Thunder Festival is 10 times stronger than the last time. The old man in front of him is the only one in the human race who has successfully passed the top. Strong man of the 9th level, people call the 9th circle. Seeing Yi Kengshuan's hard-to-accept fact, Laos laughed and consoled that the war with the Wing Clan caused the 9th circle to hurt the original source. In the case of a big problem, Yi Kengshuan can still have the power to avoid it. It can be considered a 1 in a million talent. At this time, the whole cave suddenly shook. The moment the stone pillar behind the old man appeared, a spirit of evil spirits emerged from the crack. The sword hit the old man's hands and opened the big ray of evil spirits. A wave of energy from the surrounding stone appeared and merged with the old man's energy and formed a huge pattern on the top until the demonic aura that emerged from the stone pillar disappeared. The old man finally let his breath out and the barrier suddenly shook. This was the first time the old man noticed something was wrong, so he just wanted to find the original source. Even the next second, Laozi's face changed dramatically. It was the seal that compressed the passage of the Wing Clan in the last world that caused the leak of the demonic aura to affect this place. Yi Kengshuan was not only a little worried about whether the Yi King Hand in the little sacred jade could cope with it, and according to Lao, the Wing Clan wanted to turn Tangyoayu and Yishire into a Wing Clan for at least 3 days. But now the seal is loose and the Wing Clan will forcibly change it at all costs. The longest 2 days, the shortest day can be completed. Hearing this, Yi Kengshuan hurriedly turned around and walked away. He heard the voice of Lao behind him. The blood of the Wing Clan would be devoured by the gods. Once the Wing Clan was transformed, he would lose his consciousness. At that time, the 2 girls would have the power to get as close as possible to the ground, and they might even reach the ground. Remember not to have any fantasies about love. Yi Kengshuan responded with a loud voice. After waiting again, Qin Muya and Yi Lingyan set off with the man Huang. At the same time, Tang Yoayu and Yishire were tied to 2 pillars in the valley where the Wing Clan was located. The Wing Clan below are dancing and dancing, as if they are conducting a certain unknown ceremony. In the face of the call of Tang Yoayu, the Wing Clan is not asking the pool below the stone pillar is boiling hot. This is a group of Wing people who are going to break their palms, and a lot of blue blood is dripping down and gathering together in the pool, and they are still reading the language they don't understand. This scene shows that Tang Yoayu is speechless as the blood of the Wing Clan flows into the pool and the pool is boiling hot, as if a lot of bubbles are coming out. In this situation, all the Wing people kneel down and kneel in the direction of the pool. At this time, Tang Yoayu's face suddenly changed and the stone pillar of the pool was boiling hot and began to sink. It was obvious that the 2 would be drowned in the pool soon. Tang Yoayu shook her teeth and thought, it's no big deal. At least we can get the West out of here first. As he twisted his body, he began to struggle and wanted to break his robe with his tie. As Tang Yoayu's voice echoed, all the power of the body floated out and his life was instantly broken by the stone pillar. Tang Yoayu also took the opportunity to break free of the rope, tied to the tie and flew to Yishire as if she were dead. After the rope of Yishire was untied, Tang Yoayu grabbed her hand directly into the stone pillar and then threw Yishire out. With the other hand, Yuki took the opportunity to escape to find Yi Kengshuan to rescue. When the Wing people were still holding a ceremony, even the next second, Yishire seemed to hit the wall and the whole person fell into the water stone. Below, Tang Yoayu jumped down and lifted Yishire up. He didn't expect these Wing to have a barrier, and it would be a little difficult to escape. At this point, he suddenly found that the water in the pool was boiling, but he couldn't feel it at all. Instead, it felt like the whole body was full of power. It was only a few weeks that the whole person had grown taller, and the idea of fighting with people arose in his heart. At the same time, in the Beehive Palace of the Holy Jade of the Upper Realm, Princess Yi King found that the seal was out of order, and was in a hurry to gather all the disciples in the palace. Order a disciple to notify the emperors of all realms, to make sure that they arrive at the Holy Jade in 2 hours, and then arrange the disciples in the palace to go to the 2nd floor of the underground to exert their full power to suppress the demonic aura. He came to the 1st floor to check the situation. He didn't expect it was just a check. The seal underneath was actually broken. Yi King Han opened the outer seal and entered the inner seal, and the number of talismans in his hand came out. The seal flew down in the direction of his finger and was fixed in a moment. The seal of the crack was successfully suppressed. And then, as long as the strong people of the other realms arrived, They could strengthen the seal with him. However, what King Han did not know was that a space crack suddenly appeared at the foot of his foot, and a drop of liquid fell to the ground and corroded the floor. Soon the liquid passed through the layers of seal to the deepest part of the underground that was suppressed at the bottom of the moment. After a huge figure appeared at the bottom of the ground from the outside of the Jade Passage successfully.